Hello, so this is day 3. This is Monday, I think the 5th of December, 2022. It's like the 3rd day of reduced COVID restrictions. I think it's actually the 4th day, but the first day I was on the road, so I don't have any comment about that. I didn't make any video on the 2nd day, and I'm gonna splice this together with that video I took yesterday, or a video I took yesterday, and try to put together the kind of roller coaster of feelings that are going on here, at least for me. Of course, I don't know how other people are feeling about it, but for me it's been a bit of a roller coaster, even just these last 3 days. I'm just on my way to get a test because my gym still requires a test every 48 hours. They have some ventilation problem they're working on. Until then, I need to continue to get a test every 48 hours. Unfortunately, I need to walk a couple of kilometers to get one now, as opposed to in the past. I only had a couple of 100 meters one way or the other, and they really had it down to a science where I could go and often be back home, or let's say from leaving home to getting the test would be like 5 minutes. I had that down to a science, so I had enough time to work on it. And we were getting tests every day, and they were always free. They're still free for now. Not sure how long that's going to last. I suppose it depends on how many people continue to get tests. I was talking a little bit about the roller coaster ride that we're on here, that it's the 4th day. That this is the 4th day of the reduced COVID restrictions here in Shenzhen. Can't speak for other cities. Apparently other people can that are in other countries. I can only speak for what I see. I saw in Dongguan and Shenzhen they're being treated just about the same, and the restrictions have been greatly reduced. So Saturday, which was day 1 for me, Friday was day 1 for the city, but I was on the road. Saturday, I noticed, or I seemed to feel difference of feeling towards foreigners, where in the past people were avoiding. They would go around me, not everyone, but a lot of people would. Or if they didn't have a mask on, they would walk by me like this, covering their face. Walking through a tunnel here. That seems to have ended. Some people were calling that discrimination. I never did. I always called it fear, legitimate fear. It's easy to pick out a foreigner here in China, and they don't know how long you've been here. Maybe you just got here. So that was the fear there. You're bringing in virus from another country. So that's why a lot of times you'd get the subway seat to yourself, because they were afraid to sit near you. Not because they discriminated against you, although it probably has a lot of the same feeling. So then Sunday was my 2nd day. I'm not sure if you can still see me, quite dark here. Sunday was my 2nd day. Sunday was my 2nd day, and I'll stick in some video here from yesterday. Get some idea on how I felt yesterday, but today I feel a little different again, being that my gym, the cleaning staff doesn't seem to be cleaning the equipment like they were when the rules were strict. I think they had some rules how often they had to clean the stuff. I didn't see them come out today at all in 3 hours. You have to hand your card in and out, your gym card. You hand your card in. When you get there, you get a key fob for a locker, and you get your card back when you leave. Before, they had disinfectant on the desk, and I think they were cleaning their hands quite frequently. I think now it's like a thing of the past. And I noticed today that more people are wearing masks than I've ever seen before. So these are the parts of the roller coaster that are going on right now. I see the map provided by the government showing the locations of infections. Seems to be getting quite populated here in Shenzhen, even after just 4 days, 3 days. Seems to be quite a few infections going on. So This is about the modifications to the zero COVID policy as here in Shenzhen. And being that I was in Dongguan just the other day, basically the same things, I saw basically the same things applied in Dongguan as well. I'll tell you what I saw in the last couple of days, and I'm going to give you my opinion of how this all is affecting me. Is the PCR testing that we don't have to do that anymore. It's not required for the subway, it's not required for taxis, not required for the buses. They can ask to see a travel code to see if where you're from. Although I haven't been asked for a travel code. You can be asked for your travel code. And they can take your temperature. I think actually a lot of places, like on the buses, they have the automatic temperature taking device. As you pass it, it takes your temperature, so they don't really need to. I'd probably set some alarm off if you're too high or something, but so yeah, you can get your temperature checked, and you can be asked to show your travel code. But they won't be asking for PCR codes on buses, trains, subways, taxis, buses, whatever. So, I mean, what is that, a good thing, I guess, right? I think right now it might be more necessary to wear a mask than it was before, when everybody was getting tested. We were literally getting tested every day here in Shenzhen. Probably in the last 6 months, I didn't miss a single day unless I was out of the city, and then I would get a test wherever I was there, so that make sure that come back to Shenzhen. I mean, Dongguan seemed to be more lenient, but I still took tests there every day when I was there. The new rules came out, but it was to be effective the next day or at midnight or something. So I went for one last test in Dongguan before the new rules came out. And I was going to be going back to Shenzhen the next morning anyway, so that was Thursday night when I got my last PCR test in Dongguan. That was the longest line for a PCR test that I've ever seen. It had to be 1 kilometer long. They had, I think, 7 windows open taking tests though. So even with 1 kilometer long, it was, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Here in Shenzhen, they had PCR testing stations within a 15-minute walk of anywhere in the city, which is pretty impressive when you think in the past I've gone from like Huizhou to Shekou by public transport, city bus and subway, and it takes 4 hours. So it's not a small city. That's only, I believe, north to south, Huizhou to Shekou. I believe that's like north to south in Shenzhen. And there was a testing station within 15-minute walk of any point in the city. So a lot of those are closed up now, but there's still stations open. I got a test last night. I'm going to tell you why in a minute here. But my feelings about not getting tests, okay? Well, we're creatures of habit. You know, I think everybody knows that. And I was getting tested every day. And by getting tested every day, and everybody in my neighborhood getting tested every day, I could go to a map and I could see the location of any infected people. I couldn't see their name, but I could see the building or the area of the city where they live in, if they were getting closer to me, or if I, you know, some areas that maybe I want to avoid. I could see that. And it was pretty reliable. It was reliable because everybody did a test every day. So when we don't do that, that's why I think it might be more important now to wear a mask than it was before. I guess a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not that serious now. Maybe that's true, but I think we'll have to wait and see on that one. It seems pretty likely that a lot more people are going to get infected in China now, to me. That's my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, but it just seems like that might happen. And I'm only reporting on things that I see where I am. So I don't know how some other people are reporting from a farm in New York on the whole country of China. They're reporting. The government is reminding us through several messages on WeChat that we are now under our own responsibility for our own health. So that I'm sure is related to the modifications in the zero COVID policy that we are now responsible for our own health. Okay, take a look at this device here. Somebody made a killing off of these things. Set these up everywhere. This is to get into a small community. You'd have to come up to here and scan your QR code there. It would check make sure you had the either 24 or 48 hour QR code based on the requirement. And up here, well, there's a camera at the top. You can see your and it made like a shape of a head there. You had to try to put your face in the head thing, and the camera would check and make sure that you had your mask on. And so if your QR code was good, I mean with the time, and you had your mask on, if you didn't have a mask on, you can't get in. Which actually for me became a problem in a couple of situations where I had a red mask and it was a sunny day and it didn't see my mask. So that's also a possibility. But on the other side, it's just a proximity switch that if you step in front of it, this is the out, so the exit, that opens all the time, and it never needed any kind of a QR code or anything. So this one can be flipped around in case you want to go have two entrances. But somebody made a killing off of these things, and now they're shut down. So they had these tents set up to get into different parking lots and whatnot. There'd be a security guard sitting here. You'd have to scan a QR code to show you have a good, your virus check was in 24 hours or 48 hours. And depending on the regulations, sometimes the delivery guys would have to leave your delivery out here. But now, well, they have to still alert the person that they're delivering to that they're going inside, but they can just go right inside. So a lot of malls had these same scanner type machines that I just showed you there. You know, you got the picture, the camera, this is where you put your QR code and then you put your head in the thing there, that whole deal. But yeah, these are all open now. You can just walk right in the mall. There used to be a person sitting there. They would take your temperature. Sorry. So this is an example of a security entrance to a road. You could drive your car in here, but there would be security sitting there. It looks like these guys had a comfortable chair here. You'd have to scan here to get in. Actually, as foreigners, you couldn't use that scan, so I could just tell them, why go around Sao Bu Liao, and then I could walk through. It means I can't scan because I don't have the hukou. I only have a passport, so I can't scan these codes here. But yeah, you had to scan your code, and then you had to show that you had a PCR test within 24 or 48 hours, depending on the regulations. See if it still says that up there. It doesn't say time up there. So when this all started, actually, and they had to fence off any areas, like they fenced off different communities, they used just like makeshift barriers and whatever they could find, stuff from parking lots. Shenzhen went deluxe here. Somebody made a shitload of money out of this stuff too. All fencing that was put up specifically. This wasn't here before. This was not here before the virus. And what they did was they put in a doorway. So depending on the height of the virus, or like when it wasn't so bad, they would open the door, and then even just 2 or 3 days ago, that door would have been locked closed. Now it's wide open. You can see some of that same fencing down where I just came from. That's the entrance, that security entrance that I showed you. That's the same fencing that wasn't there before. So you see these yellow tape markers on the ground here. This is the yellow tape that keeps you, I guess it's a meter between each one. They look like a little bit short of a meter, but they would have been set there initially as a testing station. This was a testing station just 2 or 3 days ago. No kidding, I'm not kidding you. Now it's a parking lot. There would have been tents in there, several tents. Somebody made a boatload of money off all the tents. So here's some more of this fencing that was put up. And as I mentioned before, people made a boatload of money off of this. This fencing was not here. Look at this, permanent looks like. Cemented it into the ground. wide open now, and 2-3 days ago this would have been locked for the last who knows how long since they put it up, actually. Which wasn't actually that long. They had all these temporary barriers for the longest time, but people kept breaking down certain areas of it and they'd get through. Even this one, I've seen, you can see the big gap under the fence there. I've seen people, I mean, I wouldn't do it because you have to get kind of dirty to do it. But I've seen people crawl under there. It's big enough for somebody to crawl under that fence. So that's kind of a little bit of a flaw there. Not a lot of people were doing that, but this is all fence that went up maybe 6 months ago, I'm gonna guess. So one thing I forgot to mention, I think you do need a 24-hour test, PCR test, to get into hospitals. Drugstores, no, you don't need any PCR test at all. Just have to show a green health code and possibly have your temperature taken. And as I mentioned before, they could ask you for a travel code. So don't get me wrong, nobody liked the strict policies. We also don't like getting COVID. So, gonna ride this roller coaster, see where it leads. Hopefully to something better. Hopefully to open borders next and not mass casualties. Gonna have to wait and see how this goes. I guess I'm kind of wondering that if things get bad, will we see protests in the other way to bring back restrictions? Is that possible? If people start dying or hospitals fill up, are we going to see protests in the opposite? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time. Seems we got a little traffic accident here. It's like two e-bikes ran into each other from the looks of it.